Alright, Orange, you go.
So, like back in the 80s, I went with a friend of mine and some other friends to a house in Jackson to play a role-playing game that was based kind of on vampires and werewolves and all that stuff. Anyway, so we went to a house and thought it was a party, and I went in there and everybody was hanging out, having a good time. And then somebody said there was a drive-by and somebody got shot, and I'm like, what's going on? So I went outside and looked. Nothing went on. No bullets. So I come back inside, hang out, and I shook the hand of the guy that owned the house, and of course, he introduced me as the Lord of Jackson or whatever. So I was like, okay. So anyway, a few minutes later, I'm hanging out still, and somebody said that one of the sides of the house was on fire, and I was like, what's going on? And nothing ever came out of any of that. So once I figured out what was going on, it's like everybody was, it was a game. It was kind of like before LARPing. It was like based on vampires and werewolves. So it's like I said, okay, this is stupid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create anarchy. I'm going to cause a riot. I'm going to cause a war. So I went outside and I friended a bunch of vampires who were like lower vampires. They're called Nosferatu. They're like a bunch of people nobody wanted. So I friended all of them, and I caused, I actually, they became my friends. And anyway, so there's a bunch of them, a whole bunch of them. So anyway, we decided to riot, and we were going to go inside and create a war. And I went inside and also found out that the werewolves that were part of the group too, they didn't like him either. So I decided.
So you create a big war.
So I decided to befriend them. So anyway, this happened 10 minutes before we had to leave. I had everybody lined up outside with all these, fake guns and all this, and then all these other guys on one side and all these guys on one side, and then I had to leave because it was time for me. The guy that I was with said he had to go home, so I left, and there was this Alamo that was going on. And so when I left, I don't know what would happen, but then my friend called me a day or two later and said, I'm not ever invited. The Lord of Jackson doesn't ever want me over to his house again because everybody killed each other. So, all right.
Sorry, Tom.